So good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me okay. My name is John Ram. I'm the director of the planning department. It's my great honor to be here today to introduce our speakers and to celebrate this wonderful new ordinance for the city. My father was a Lebanese immigrant. He was in the food business his whole life, and he would say that rain today on an event like this is very good luck. So I think we are seeing some good luck on our ceremony today. As we all know, urban agriculture and local food production is seeing a dramatic change and an upsurge in interest in the city's sustainability program. In July of '09, Mayor Newsom issued Executive Directive 0903, talking about healthy and sustainable food for San Francisco. And that directive asked all departments to carry out actions consistent with the goal of fostering local food production in the city. We're here today to celebrate Mayor Lee's action to bring this directive to life. Today we have before us literally groundbreaking legislation. What Mayor Lee will sign into law today, what the mayor will sign into law today represents a big update to the city's regulation of local food production. Neighborhood scale food production, our community gardens, our backyard kitchen gardens, our small urban farms will be permitted everywhere in San Francisco under this legislation. Surprisingly enough, prior to this legislation, while growing food was legal, the sale of that food was not. As of today, food grown at these sites may now be sold. Further, in most districts, value-added goods or goods where the products are primarily derived from locally grown food may also be sold on site. So importantly, this legislation establishes operational standards to assure compatibility of urban agriculture within our existing neighborhoods. I next want to introduce Mayor Lee, but before I do that, I do want to introduce a couple of commissioners who are here today to join us as well. Janet Clyde from the Small Business Commission. Janet is over there. And Miguel Monroy from the Agricultural Commission is here as well. Miguel, there he is over there. Thank you both for joining us today. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Ed Lee. Mayor Ed Lee is the 43rd mayor of San Francisco, and he has been a champion of environmental sustainability policies and programs in the city. He's served, of course, at various capacities in the city as Director of Public Works and City Administrator. Most recently, related to this topic of environmental sustainability, he has been instrumental in moving electric vehicle policies forward, as well as leading the overall effort to make our city far more sustainable. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for all that you do in this regard, and it's my great pleasure to introduce you today.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Maybe it's still morning, but I wanted to be out here. It's my personal pleasure to be out here. It's not that far from where I live. Just right over there at Glen Park, but I wanted to be here and to join our board president, David Chu, and Supervisor Eric Marr, and the various departments, planning department, our environment department, our public health department, our agriculture commissioner, but as importantly, the real people, the volunteers. I've just been acquainted with the names of like Eli and Caitlin and Brooke and all these more famous people, in my opinion, because of what they've been doing with this example. And I am personally very happy to sign this legislation. I have worked a little bit on it, but I know it got started a long time ago with great minds. And it's one of those occasions, John, that we're out here, but we're not going to be out here for 5 hours like your planning commission meetings. We're out here to actually break ground and do something very, very good for the neighbors. I think we've got the neighborhoods here that are all in concert. The owners of this farmland have negotiated a very, very good deal for us in the city. And I know my wife would love to be here if she weren't out corralling doing other things, because she wants to be on that list to be able to buy really organic, because she's been into that. She's one of those crazy 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning alimony farm type people where, don't bother me, I'm going out. So I think this is wonderful. I mean, this agricultural ordinance, it's precedent setting. It is smart legislation, but it's also one of those legislations where it just brings government volunteers and people in the residence closer together. It's things that we do that we're proud of, because I'd rather win more friends than create political enemies, especially when I'm trying to be an interim mayor, but perhaps set the standards a little higher for the next person who might be there. And they've got to come and support these types of things in our communities that are greener, that are more, that we know, we understand what the challenge of living in an urban setting is. We've got to break open these vacant lots. We've got to do something more with our land, and we got to represent smart things that we do. And I think the Urban Agriculture Ordinance is one of those very smart ordinances that the supervisors got on very quickly, because it was a natural thing for them to do. And then to just bring hope to people who want to see an organic movement really take place. And I know that we will enjoy the food produced here. The restaurants like Mission Pie and others that are using really 100% organic in the things that they produce is where the trend is at. It's going to be part of our whole health. And that's why the health department is involved in this. That's why there's so many other agencies that are involved in this. So I'm here really as a proud moment to be here with the community, to sign off on this legislation and to represent that more of this has to be done. I was here as DPW head for many times when Muhammad Noor and I were trying to unclog all these flooded streets, because we understand where this List Creek is and the history of that. And I am so glad to be here in a positive moment where we're not brushing out people's basements, not trying to get them cleaned up, but to actually do something here that they will be proud of for many generations to come. So this urban farm movement is fantastic. It's one that I clearly endorse, and I want more of it in other parts of the city. And I know we're going to unveil some very great map that's going to start outlining where we can put more of these urban farms and really take advantage of this ordinance that allows us to do this through our planning code, do it faster, do it better, and do it with all the cooperation that we've always wanted. So thank you very much for being here and joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I move to introduce our next speakers, I wanted to acknowledge a couple of folks on my staff who were primarily responsible for working with the mayor's office and other departments and making this legislation happen. Diego Sanchez and Anne Marie Rogers. They were the primary authors of this legislation. They were the real rock stars on this on my staff, and I thank you very much for all your great work. From the early stages of this process, the department and planning commission joined with the mayor's office, the local agricultural community, our friends in the Department of Environment, the PUC, and the Board of Supervisors to update the code on this production. I have to say, having been with the department now for 3 years and sitting through a couple of hundred planning commission meetings, this is one of those rare moments when the planning commission hearing room was filled and everyone was saying yes instead of no. So that's a fairly rare moment in San Francisco politics. So it was really gratifying to be there and to see that happen. Next time, I would like to introduce two individuals who are indispensable in this effort and who are responsible for what you see growing around us today. Caitlin Galloway and Brooke Budner. They are the co-owners of Little City Gardens, and they are really testing the economic viability of of this whole concept. They have created a transparent, communicative, community-based business, and they are eager to spotlight the benefits. So we thank you so much for your work, and thank you for hosting us today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brooke, and this is Caitlin, and together we co-own Little City Gardens. We're really happy to welcome you all here today to celebrate this important step forward for urban agriculture. It's especially special for us to have you here today because we just celebrated our first year anniversary of working this beautiful, fertile piece of land. When we signed this lease a year ago, this lot was an overgrown jungle. It was a dense thicket of weeds, 8-foot-tall weeds, really serious weeds. You had to push your way through just to walk to the back. It was pretty intense. So it's been a pretty action-packed year for us, transforming the lot from that to this, a cultivated urban farm with a lot of promise for food production. So we can't think of a better way to make this year of hard work, to mark this year of hard work than this signing ceremony. Little City Gardens, as you can see, is an urban farm. It's a place where people come to learn about agriculture, to talk about food systems, meet each other, and get their hands dirty. Little City Gardens is also a small business, in that we aim to support the work that we do and the place that we hold in the community by growing, selling, and distributing fresh produce. Caitlin and I started this business because we believe that productive urban farms have a great role to play in the future of our cities. Urban farming has always had an important presence in San Francisco, but we felt like the urban agriculture movement could take on a new dimension of sustainability if some of those farms and gardens could support themselves economically. When we began, there were no functioning urban farm businesses in San Francisco that we could look to as a model. So we determined that we had to test the waters and see what was possible. We knew that there would be ample benefits and ample challenges in the process, and we were right. We've experienced plenty of both. Every day we're inspired. In fact, we're totally awed every day by the connections, the relationships, the ideas, and the food that grow here. And also, as we're trying to carve out a new space for this work, we confront challenges every day.
As many of you know, the first major obstacle we encountered here after digging into the space about a year ago was the fact that selling our produce was not legal. Our antiquated zoning code did not allow us to support ourselves and our work by selling our produce. Thank you everyone for all of your hard work in putting together this ordinance. We are grateful for the way we were able to work together to make this happen. Growing food for ourselves and for our neighbors close to home is not a new or particularly innovative idea. It's a simple, age-old act that our communities have only recently lost. We are pleased to live in a city that recognizes the importance of revisiting these old, intelligent ideas. With the passage of this legislation, gardeners across the city are validated and inspired, and Brooke and I will finally be able to sell our produce and test out our business plan. We all still have a ways to go, but this legislation is a crucial first step in formally recognizing urban agriculture as a very necessary part of our city's landscape. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Brooke and Caitlin, and this is a great testament to your hard work, so thank you so much. Next, I would like to introduce our board president, David Chu. David has been a strong advocate of this ordinance and was a co-sponsor of the legislation along with the mayor, and I know that David is excited about seeing this legislation come to fruition. David, thank you so much.
It's great to see everyone here today, and first of all, I want to say it takes a village to build a garden, and it's great to see this village around us. I want to thank Mayor Lee and his predecessor, Mayor Newsom, and all of the city staffers that came together, particularly Johanna Parton and our friends from the Department of the Environment and from Planning. You helped to do this. I also want to thank my colleagues at the board. Supervisor Marr is the chair of our Land Use Committee, and that is a committee that considered a legislation for, as was the case at Planning, a very friendly reception at this hearing with a sea of green T-shirts. And, of course, I want to thank all of the men and women who stand behind me who are part of the Urban Agriculture Alliance, because you're the ones who came to my office late last fall and confirmed for me what I had wondered for many, many years, and that is, can we bring green back to the urban jungle? In the district that I represent in the northeast part of the city, we have very little green. But one thing that I have been wondering for years is, why can't we use those little plots of land in the middle of blocks to grow things? And for me, what's so exciting about today is we are creating a new urban experience of the things that we can smell when we're out in the city, of the food and the greenery that we can touch, and of course of the things that we can eat. And I look forward to doing a lot of eating based on all the things that we're going to grow. The reason, though, I think this is so wonderful is San Francisco, we have always been on the cutting edge of being on the forefront of what it means to fight for the environment. And I think that what we're doing in San Francisco hopefully will be on the cutting edge of the urban agriculture movement, on the cutting edge of what it means to create urban gardens, and on the cutting edge of what it means to have some of the best food in the country. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, David. Next, I'd like to introduce Supervisor Eric Marr. Eric is, as David mentioned, was the chair of the Land Use Committee, has taken on a daunting task of chairing a committee that sees more legislation, I think, than any other on the board. Thank you, Eric, for being here.
Thank you, John.
Oops, excuse me.
Thank you, everyone. I was watching Josh's the Hayes Valley dog roll on the ground, and if I could, I would be doing the same thing because I feel so wonderful about it. And I also would be digging in the dirt as well. I know that your hands are much more dirt and fingernails than mine, but I really wish I could do that today. Thanks so much to the Little City farm, but also the Alamany farm, and I know that the Hayes Valley farm and the Free farm are all represented, and many others here. But I'm proud to be here to be supportive of the San Francisco Urban Agriculture Alliance and the activism and the movement that you're building to change San Francisco and to be a model for other cities around this country and hopefully around the world. I also wanted to say that Paula Jones, our head of food policy, is here, and I know that urban farms will help us make sure that children and residents, not just in the Excelsior, but in many different neighborhoods that are food deserts or don't have access to healthy and locally grown produce, fruits and vegetables, will have more access. And I think at a recent Green Festival panel that Antonio and Josh and others and I were on, I think we want to see this expanded to every single square mile of the city, the 49 square miles. And I think this is a really good start, but we need to really implement the mayor's initiative from several years ago. And your movement has to be the impetus to build this, and we have to be the shining example for the U.S., but also this world. Thank you so much for being here, everyone.
Thank you, Supervisor. I also do want to recognize Supervisor John Avalos, who couldn't be here today, but we are in his district, and I know John is a huge supporter of this as well. Next, I want to introduce a community representative who played a key role in both organizing and policy development with this ordinance, and that is Eli Zegas of the San Francisco Urban Agriculture Alliance. Eli's group promotes the growing of food within the San Francisco through advocacy, education, and grassroots action, and they have been a key partner in this whole effort. Eli.
Today is a good day for San Francisco and for urban agriculture. With this law, San Francisco becomes a leader of cities nationwide that are revisiting their local regulations and making it easier for residents to both grow their own food and also, if they want, to sell it, either to make a little extra cash or to make a living. The process, as you've heard, began almost a year ago, right here, when Little City Gardens learned that they couldn't start their business. Since then, there's been an outpouring of support. As the members of the Planning Commission know, and the supervisors who sat through a lot of meetings heard, there were over 30 organizations and small businesses that sent letters in support of this ordinance. More than 300 San Franciscans and 200 people from other parts of the state and country showed their support by signing our petition. And 60 people, as you heard, took time out of their day to testify in front of the Planning Commission a few months ago in what was an incredible hearing. Seeing this proposal become law has been a labor of love for the San Francisco Urban Agriculture Alliance. We're an all-volunteer organization made up of more than 40 member organizations founded just a year ago. And I should clarify, I'm one of the co-coordinators. The other two co-coordinators are Dana and Antonio. And if the members of the group could raise their hand, just so we show some support out here. There were a lot of people who put in a lot of work to make this happen. But even with all that work, we couldn't have gotten here today without the leadership and backing of our elected officials and the commissioners. I especially want to recognize a few people at the Planning Department, Anne Marie Rogers and Diego Sanchez. They were incredible, spent months seeking feedback from practitioners, wanting to make sure that a new zoning code worked for the people it would affect. And that was so key. In the mayor's office, Johanna Parton has shepherded this throughout. And at the Department of Environment, Mei Ling Hui, thank you. Of course, the mayor himself for co-sponsoring it. Meant to say the mayor and his staff. The mayor and Supervisor Chu for being a very early co-sponsor as well. And his aide, Catherine Reichauber, hope I'm pronouncing that right, for also helping make this a reality. And then, of course, all the other supervisors who supported it, but especially the other sponsors, Supervisor Marr, Malia Cohen, and Ross Mercarimi for their co-sponsorship. And I am very excited to say, I don't know if we're going to get into this too deep, but we have an amazing salad here. So after the press conference, we're going to do what we call a salad toast, which I think is very appropriate for San Francisco because at this time of year, that's what we grow really well. And so we've got salad greens here from a number of gardens throughout the city as a way of celebrating. And I hope I don't forget anyone. If I do, please shout out. But we've got greens from Little City Gardens, Alamany Farm, the Free Farm, Hayes Valley Farm, a number of backyard gardens, or rooftop gardens, actually. Some support, I think, from Garden for the Environment. Not sure if they've got greens in here, but they're here. It's the tablecloth for sure, and the table. Any other farms or gardens I'm forgetting? SF Landscapes. So that's from across the city. That's actually a pretty broad section of the city. Greens here, that we've got some salad dressing and I think some plates and utensils, and afterwards I hope we can raise a plate or a bowl to celebrate this new law. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli. Finally, I'd like to introduce Karen Heisler from Mission Pie. As you know, the key to this ordinance is that not only is growing the food legal. I'm a foot in the past, you know. It's still illegal for the next 5 minutes, but selling it was a key to this. So, as you know, when it comes to local food production, San Francisco has a lot of fine establishments who tried their best to use local food, and one of the finest is a corner cafe and bakery and neighborhood gathering place in the Mission called Mission Pie. Karen Heisler is here to talk about her work and her support of this. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, John. I'm Karen Heisler, and with my partner Kristen Rubin and an amazing staff, we run Mission Pie, which is a place I hope you'll visit if you haven't yet. And I'm so pleased to be part of this today that I hope I don't start crying partway through what I have to say. So I want to thank you for inviting me to be here, and just to explain why the passage or the adoption of this ordinance is important to our business. We, like a lot of others, are committed to sourcing the highest quality ingredients that we can with the most environmental sensitivity possible. And practically speaking, when we can purchase food grown close to home, that food is traveling a shorter distance from farm to our kitchen, and there's a lot less energy consumption for transportation and refrigeration. It also translates for us in terms of quality into really high level of freshness. And that's meaningful to all of our palates. But the energy consumption and the shorter distance is really meaningful to our business's environmental goals. And that's part of what underlies our green business certification. So it's a very practical consideration as well as one of values for us. Equally important to us at Mission Pie and our mission is helping our community develop a deeper understanding of what it takes to produce good food, food that's grown in a healthy environment without synthetic and toxic inputs and with fair labor practices. And we're really, really excited that the adoption of this ordinance allows for the possibility of more farming in San Francisco. I think when I was thinking about this, it hit me at a deep level that with this ordinance, we're saying that food production is an important use for some of our city's very precious 49 square miles of land. And I've been really gratified and kind of moved by the diversity of voices that have come together around this. And it's been a very well stewarded process. Thank you, Eli, and everybody. And thank you especially to Eli and Brooke and Caitlin for inviting me to participate and to help. It's really great to be able to, as a business person who's kind of busy, to be able to work on something that is so productive and really yield something of this magnitude. So there I go. So that the adoption of the ordinance, though, and the presence of the leadership and the support behind it, sort of departmental and at all levels, kind of is amazing in that it recognizes that the community benefit of reestablishing an intimacy and fluency with food production is as high a use, to use the planning jargon, on some select parcels of land in San Francisco, like this one, that as the more commonly sought commodity value of land development. I just think that is incredible in a city of such high land values. And I'm just going to say, as a business person who has grown a real pride in running a values-driven business, Kristen and I are really excited about having colleagues like Brooke and Caitlin as the sort of at the front of the prow of the ship of the development of this new small business sector of for-profit farms in the city.
Yay.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you all, for all of our speakers for your comments today, and thank you so much for all being here. I do want to say, as planning director, it's very gratifying to be able to help move this forward, and I want to invite all of you to let us know how it's working in the years to come, and if there are tweaks and changes that we should make along the way, let's keep up that dialogue, and if there are similar things that we should be doing, let us know. I'm sincere about that request. So finally, the moment we've been waiting for. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to invite you to come to the salad signing table and all of us to gather around and
Come on, Supervisor. We're going to make this legal. Come on, everybody. The Alliance folks. All right. Well, with this signature, we will signify that the urban farm movement in San Francisco is alive and well. All right. What's today's date?
420.
420. No comment on that.
That's the later legislation.
All right. And with this, who gets the, we'll just keep it for our... All right. Well, there's a signature there. That's real. That's real, everybody. Thank you, Alliance. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, everybody. This is wonderful, and let's keep it up. Let's identify more areas. Use that vacant space to our advantage. Thank you. Thank you.